Hello there. Welcome to my look at the successes and failures of UK and USA remakes. Today I'll be looking at Ghosts, a sitcom success that is still airing in both countries at time of recording. Although it was recently announced that Series 5 of the UK version will be the last.
We can't afford to do this anymore.
Ghosts began on BBC One in the UK in 2019. It was the brainchild of Matthew Bainton, Simon Farnaby, Martha Howe-Douglas, Jim Howick, Lawrence Rickard and Ben Wilbond, who are unofficially known as the Horrible Histories Troupe, as they first came to public attention on the children's history show Horrible Histories. This was a hugely creative, inventive and hilarious show inspired by the books of the same name that not only brought history to life but didn't shy away from its most horrible elements.
Can we cut off your head, dry your skull and feed its powdered scrapings to this lady?
The troupe would go on to make a film about William Shakespeare called Bill.
London is not gonna know what hit it!
You been before?
No, first time.
Ooh, it's nice. Don't steal anything.
And a fantasy adventure comedy on Sky TV called Yonderland.
When the icy grip of evil threatens the last free land, the fate of all shall rest in the hands of one.
Needs a sauce.
But despite the consistent quality of these projects, they didn't quite meet the success that Horrible Histories had been. Then, in 2019, their newest project debuted on BBC One, Ghosts, and with it, immediate success with the audience and critics. The premise of the show sees Charlotte Ritchie's Alison Cooper and her husband Mike, played by Kiel Smith-Bino, inherit a decrepit stately home that's already occupied by the ghosts of people from a variety of historical periods, who all died within the grounds and are played by the troupe, with the addition of Lolly Adefope and Katie Wicks. All the actors also double up as plague victims who live in the basement and make occasional appearances. In the first episode, Alison suffers a near-fatal fall and as a result can see and hear the ghosts, but she's the only one in the show that can. The show sees Alison and Mike try to renovate their new home into a hotel, despite lacking funds to do so, while dealing with the ghosts' personal issues.
What will become of us? We could always try haunting.
The genius of the show is this balance between the comedy of these ridiculous characters and their interaction with Alison, but also the pathos as we explore the insecurities of their lives through their deaths. It's an exploration of the tragedy and comedy of human existence and is brilliantly done, so it seemed like an easy sell for a US remake. This remake came in 2021, and while keeping the same basic premise and adapting some of the storylines, obviously had to make some adjustments to the ghosts to make them more relevant to US history. Alison and Mike are renamed Samantha and Jay, and some characters are direct adaptations, such as the Scoutmaster and Alison/Samantha's distant relative, and others are parallels to their British counterparts, such as the Viking replacing the Caveman, and the Revolutionary War captain replacing the World War II captain, and the headless Elizabethan is replaced by a headless 50s greaser. Oh, and the disgraced politician is swapped for a disgraced stockbroker. But gone are the Georgian noblewoman, the romantic poet, and the witch trial victim, substituted with a 1920s lounge singer, a hippie, and a Native American. It was always going to be challenging to adapt a show with a cast made up of friends who have not only worked together for years, but also created and wrote the show, and it's difficult to be impartial about the series as I'd already seen the BBC show before the US version, and was therefore far more familiar with some of the plot lines. But I have really enjoyed watching the US version, and it's done well enough so far to get 3 seasons.
Why don't we just scare them away? We're ghosts.
The line between the living and ourselves is one we should respect. Who are we to...
It's probably the worst pain I can...
So if you've seen the show, let me know what you think in the comments, particularly if you haven't seen the UK original, or if you've seen the UK original but not the US show. The US version clearly has a bigger budget and uses more special effects than the UK version, as well as having more episodes. But this doesn't get in the way of the story or the comedy. It also doesn't shy away from some of the darker plot points of the original, or some of the subtle humour, and the different way it develops the relationships between the living and the dead from the UK version is refreshing and novel.
And cleansing the space, you light this stuff and it wards off evil spirits.
What did she say? Does that work? It's actually delightful. Oh.
It, like so many of the best adaptations, works by staying true to the spirit of the original, no pun intended, but also adapting it for the audience it's for. If you haven't seen either version of Ghosts or any of the Horrible History Troupe's other work, I do recommend searching it out, as I think they're all incredibly well made and very funny. Thank you. Goodbye.